Hey everyone, welcome back. In the previous lectures, we created our foreign keys. Let's come to this student table and let's click foreign keys. We created our foreign keys using the Redis stuff. But now I want to create these foreign keys using exact SQL, DDL commands. Okay guys, let's get started. First of all, I want to close this, okay, and I want to create new SQL, and I will say the create and the table, and we should write the name. I will say the student2, okay, and open and close parentheses and my semicolon. I will click like this. Let's click like this, and I will just click here. Let's come here. Okay, now we should write the data types and also columns. I will say the name, or first of all, let's write the student underscore ID, and this will be the integer. Okay, this is my data type and will be the not null. Okay, and this is my comma. I will click enter. Actually, we've seen this before. I just record this video for explaining you creating foreign keys using DDL commands, because when you want to read someone else's SQL code and you can see that, oh, this man used foreign key and this foreign key is the SQL, actually is the DDL command, the SQL like this. This is called DDL, okay? And maybe you cannot read this. I record this video for helping you to read someone else's SQL codes and also to know how we can create the SQLs writing exact SQLs. Okay guys, let's continue. I will say I have the student ID. Let's come to the student. Let's say we have student ID name and the teacher ID. I will say student ID and the name will be varchar, open and close parentheses and just 10. And this name can be null. And I will write here the teacher underscore ID, and the teacher ID is the integer, okay, and this can't be null also. No, let's write this can be null. Okay, I will click comma and I will click enter, and here we should define our primary key. I will say primary key, open and close parentheses and the student underscore ID. This is my primary key, and now here's the point. We should create the foreign key now. I will click enter. But before we create a foreign key, I should create the teacher table, because this foreign key reference to the teacher table, but we don't have any teacher table. Do not look at here, because this teacher table from my previous lecture, you can see I used here student2, and I will reference to the teacher2 table, okay? And by the way, I will drop this. I will drop all of these tables, because these tables just for this lesson. Okay, after this lesson, I will drop this. We will continue our teacher and the student tables. I will come to this new SQL file. I will say the create and the table, the name is teacher2, open and close parentheses and my semicolon. And I will write here, we have the ID will be integer and the not null. And the comma, I will write the name, and the name can be, no, let's write varchar, open and close parentheses, and the length of this name is 10. And I will write here they not null. I don't want to get this name null. Okay, and I will define here the primary key, open and close parentheses, open and close parentheses. I will write here my primary key, and it is ID. Okay, you can see I defined my teacher2 table, and this is my ID, name, and the primary key. Let's just click on this. I will show you something from here. Okay guys, now here we can define our foreign key, but actually we cannot define because we didn't say here the run. Okay, after running this SQL, if you refresh this, you can see my teacher2 table is created here, and I have here the ID and the name. And this teacher2 table equal to the teacher1 table. Okay, let's just close this and let's come here. You can see this is my teacher2 table, and I have the ID and the name. And now we can create, let's just come here, we can create our foreign key. before the creating teacher2 table, you cannot create foreign key, because in your foreign key you will say the foreign key, okay, and you should write your reference. You should write your reference table, and between this, inside this parentheses, you should write the table name you want to reference. And when you write here, for example, teacher2, before we creating this teacher2, if you write here teacher2, your MySQL will yell at you, because MySQL will say, I don't see any teacher2 table. But now MySQL can see, because I created here teacher2 table. Okay, let's just remove this. I just wrote this for explaining you guys. Okay, let's now define the primary key. Oh, I'm sorry guys, we should create the foreign key. I will say the foreign and the key and open and close parentheses. Inside this parentheses, we should write the foreign key, and I will write here my foreign key will be my teacher ID. I will say teacher underscore ID, and we should write the reference. I will write references, and I will say the teacher table and the open and close parentheses and the ID. Okay, let's write the comma here. Okay guys, I just wrote the foreign key. The foreign key is the teacher ID, and the references is the teacher ID from the teacher table. Okay, let's come here. Let's just clear this. And now I will click just run. Okay, and let's just clear this. Okay, let's just refresh this all. You can see my student2 table is created. I will click this design table, and you can see this teacher ID is my foreign key. Okay, and this is the reference table is the, let's say, demo.teacher table, and the column is teacher ID, teacher underscore ID, and the reference column is the ID. And you can see here by default I have here foreign key options, and I think let's not talk about this in this lecture. I will talk about this in the after the joins lesson, because this is kind of like let's say complicated. Okay, I will talk about this later, but in this lecture we just saw how we can create the foreign keys using the current SQLs. Okay, let's come to our SQL file. Okay, you can see this is how we can create our foreign key. Actually, this is not that complicated. We just saw all of this, we've seen this, but this is the new thing. Okay guys, I will share this source code with you, and you can use it, you can download it, and you can use it in your MySQL. And let's finish this lesson here. Let's see you in the next tutorial.